The worst part about birthday surprises isn't the surprise. It's watching your own celebration turn into someone else's spotlight. Again, I'm Karen, and I just turned 28. My sister Haley had arranged what was supposed to be a special family dinner at Bella's, my favorite Italian restaurant. The red checkered tablecloths and warm bread baskets usually make me feel at home, but tonight they just witnessed another masterclass in how to make me feel invisible. Karen, honey, the linguine looks nice, my mother said, before immediately turning to my cousin. But Lindsey, tell everyone about that promotion you got. Vice President of Marketing at only 30. That's incredible. I stabbed at my pasta, watching Lindsay's perfectly manicured hands gesture as she launched into her story. Well, it was quite unexpected, actually. My boss just called me into his office yesterday. So humble. My aunt whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Always such a go-getter. I caught my friend Aurora's eye across the table. She'd insisted on coming, saying I needed at least one ally. Now she gave me a subtle eye roll that made me feel slightly less alone. Speaking of work, Lindsay's voice cut through my thoughts. Karen, are you still doing that little website thing? The coding classes? It's actually grown quite a bit, I started. We've helped over 50 women launch new careers. Oh, that's sweet, Lindsay interrupted. It must be nice having a hobby while you figure out your real career path. You know, I might have an entry-level position opening up in my department if you're interested. The table fell silent. I felt my cheeks burning as I gripped my fork tighter. That's, that's not necessary, I managed. My business is doing well. Of course, dear, my mother chimed in. But maybe you should consider Lindsay's offer. She's only trying to help, and it would be more stable than this internet thing you're doing. Mom, oh, Lindsay clapped her hands. Before I forget, I'm also getting married. James proposed last weekend. Karen, you should come to the engagement party. Maybe you'll meet someone nice there. I worry about you being so focused on work instead of finding a good man. That was it, the final straw. Years of similar moments flashed through my mind. School achievements overlooked, career choices questioned, personal life critiqued, always with Lindsay's achievements held up as the golden standard. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. I have to go. Karen, don't be dramatic. My mother sighed. It's your birthday dinner. Is it? I looked around the table. Because it feels like another Lindsay appreciation ceremony to me. I'm just trying to help, Lindsay said, her voice dripping with fake concern. There's no need to be jealous. Jealous? I laughed, and it came out harder than I intended. I'm not jealous, Lindsay. I'm tired. Tired of being treated like I'm somehow less than you. Tired of having my achievements dismissed. Tired of being offered help I never asked for. Karen, my mother looked mortified. Apologize to your cousin right now. No, I grabbed my purse. I'm done apologizing for taking up space. I'm done pretending everything's fine when it's not. And I'm definitely done with birthday dinners that make me feel worse about myself. Aurora stood up too. I'll drive you home. As we walked out, I heard my sister Haley call after me, but I didn't turn around. The cool evening air hit my face as we stepped outside, and I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. That was amazing, Aurora said, linking her arm through mine. Terrifying, but amazing. I just ruined my own birthday dinner. No, you just stood up for yourself. Finally. She squeezed my arm. And you know what? That little website thing of yours helped Maria double her salary last month. And Sarah just got hired as a junior developer. You're changing lives while Lindsay's climbing corporate ladders. I wiped at my eyes, smearing mascara across my cheeks. Thanks for being there tonight. Always. Aurora unlocked her car. So, what now? Looking back at the restaurant's warm windows, where my family was probably still discussing my dramatic exit, I felt something shift inside me. Not just anger or hurt, but determination. Now, I took a deep breath. Now I'm done letting them define my worth. I'm going to show them exactly what this little website thing can do. Aurora grinned as we got into her car. Now that sounds like a birthday resolution worth celebrating. Ice cream? Ice cream, I agreed. And then we work on that expansion plan we've been talking about. As we drove away, I felt lighter than I had in years. Sometimes the worst moments become turning points. And this birthday dinner? It was the last time I'd let anyone make me feel small. 3 months after my birthday disaster, I sat in my home office staring at my laptop screen, hardly believing what I was reading. Aurora! I yelled, knowing she was in the kitchen. We'd started sharing a workspace since our business expanded. Come look at this. She appeared in the doorway, coffee mug in hand. Please tell me it's not another passive-aggressive text from your mom. No, better. Remember that conference application we submitted? The Women in Tech Summit? Aurora's eyes widened. They responded? They want me to be a keynote speaker. Me, speaking to over 1,000 people about our program. Holy shit! Aurora rushed over, nearly spilling her coffee. Let me see. I turned the screen toward her, watching as she read the email. Her face lit up with each line. Karen, this is huge. The biggest names in tech attend this conference. Do you know what this could mean for our business? My phone buzzed. A message from Maria, one of our first students. I opened it to find a selfie of her at her new desk, complete with dual monitors and a nameplate reading Senior Developer. Look at this, I showed Aurora. Maria just got promoted again. That's what, 3 of our graduates in senior positions now? 4, I corrected, pulling up our tracking spreadsheet. Sarah got promoted last week, and we've got 15 more women starting the program next month. Aurora perched on my desk. Remember when Lindsey called this a little website thing? We've helped more women land tech jobs in 3 months than her company has hired all year. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Haley. I hesitated before answering. Hey sis, I said cautiously. We hadn't talked much since my birthday. Karen, I just saw your business featured in the local tech newsletter. Why didn't you tell me you were doing so well? Would anyone have listened if I tried? There was a long pause. I deserve that. Listen, I've been thinking about that night. You were right. We've all been awful to you. Haley. No, let me finish. I've been watching what you're doing through your website. Those testimonials from your students? They're incredible. I was wrong about you, and I'm sorry. I gripped the phone tighter, fighting back tears. Thanks. That means a lot. Mom doesn't know I'm calling, but she's been reading about you too. She's confused, but I think she's starting to get it. And Lindsey? Haley's tone changed. Actually, I heard some weird rumors about her at work. Nothing concrete, but things might not be as perfect as she makes them seem. After hanging up, I turned to Aurora, who'd been pretending not to eavesdrop. So, she said, about this conference, we should start planning your speech. I don't know if I can do it. Speaking in front of all those people? Of course you can. Aurora pulled up a chair. Tell me what you told Jennifer last week when she was nervous about her job interview. I smiled, remembering. I told her that being underestimated was her superpower, that every doubt anyone cast on her was fuel to prove them wrong. Exactly. Now take your own advice. Aurora opened a new document. Let's show them what this little website thing has become. We worked late into the evening, crafting my speech. I wanted to tell our story, not just mine, but every woman who'd been told she couldn't, shouldn't, or wouldn't succeed in tech. Around midnight, my email pinged again, this time from Rachel, a current student. Karen, I just accepted my first job offer as a programmer, double my previous salary. My kids will be able to go to college. You changed our lives. Thank you. I forwarded it to Aurora with just 3 words: worth every minute. She replied instantly, "Put this in your speech." As I got ready for bed, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I looked different somehow, stronger, more confident. The woman who'd fled her birthday dinner in tears had been replaced by someone who knew her worth. My phone lit up with a text from my mother. "Saw your name in the business section. Call me?" I left it unanswered. Some relationships needed time to reset, and I was finally learning to set boundaries. Instead, I opened my laptop one last time and typed out a message to our community forum. To every woman who's been told to dream smaller, your dreams aren't too big. The people around you are thinking too small. Next month, I'll be speaking at the Women in Tech Summit about our journey. Every one of you is part of this story. Together, we're not just learning to code, we're coding our own futures. The responses started flowing in immediately. Words of encouragement, excitement, pride. This was what success felt like, not proving others wrong, but lifting each other up. I fell asleep that night planning my speech, knowing that somewhere across town, Lindsey was probably still playing corporate politics. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care about her achievements. I was too busy creating my own. The conference was 2 weeks away when my cousin Russell showed up at my office unannounced. His presence was so unexpected that I almost didn't recognize him standing in our reception area. "Karen, got a minute?" He shifted uncomfortably, looking nothing like his usual confident self. "It's about Lindsay." I glanced at Aurora, who nodded. "I'll handle the afternoon session. Take your time." Leading Russell to our small conference room, I noticed dark circles under his eyes. "What's going on?" "Everything's falling apart at her company," he said, slumping into a chair. "She's been taking credit for other people's work for years. Someone finally caught on. And you're telling me this because she's spiraling. She called me crying last night, talking about how you're suddenly this big success while her life is imploding." He ran a hand through his hair. "The thing is, I've been following your work. Those coding boot camps you're running, they're amazing." I sat back, studying him. Russell had always been the quiet one in the family, standing in his sister's shadow just like I had. "Did Lindsay send you?" "No. God, no. She'd kill me if she knew I was here." He leaned forward. "Look, I saw the conference announcement. Lindsay saw it too. She's not taking it well." "That's not my problem." "I know. Trust me, I know. But—" He was interrupted by my phone buzzing. It was a news alert about Lindsay's company. I opened it, Russell watching anxiously as I read. "They're investigating her entire department?" I looked up at him. "It says here multiple employees have filed complaints about stolen credit for projects." "It's worse than that. She faked numbers in her reports, took credit for initiatives she never touched. Edison, her boss, is building a case for termination." Just then, Aurora burst in. "Karen, you need to see this. Your mom's here." "What?" Sure enough, my mother stood in our office lobby, looking both out of place and determined. When she saw me, she straightened her shoulders. "Karen, we need to talk about the conference." "How did you even know about that?" "It's all over LinkedIn. Your sister showed me." She glanced at Russell. "What are you doing here?" "Aunt Rosalind," Russell nodded awkwardly. "I was just leaving." "No, stay," I said firmly. "Mom, what do you want?" She took a deep breath. "I want to understand. This business of yours, it's not just a hobby, is it?" "No, Mom, it never was." I pulled up our success metrics on my tablet. "See these numbers? Each one represents a woman who doubled or tripled her income. Real people with real lives we helped change." She studied the screen, then looked around our office, at the wall of success stories, the busy classroom visible through the glass partition, the professional setup we'd built from scratch. "Why didn't you tell me?" I tried, for years, but you were always too busy praising Lindsey to notice. About Lindsey, my mother started. She's in trouble, Russell cut in. Real trouble. My mother's face fell. You know? I just found out, I said. But honestly, I'm not surprised. Success built on lies usually crumbles eventually. That's why I'm here, my mother said. She keeps talking about your conference speech. I'm worried she might try to interfere somehow. Aurora, who'd been quietly listening, spoke up. We've already got security arranged for the event. Standard procedure. My phone buzzed again, another news alert, this time about Lindsey being placed on administrative leave pending investigation. It's official, Russell said, reading over my shoulder. She's done. My mother sank into a chair. How did we not see this coming? All those achievements she claimed. Because you saw what you wanted to see, I said, surprising myself with how calm I felt. In both of us. The room fell silent as that truth settled in. Through the glass, I could see our afternoon class filing in, women of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences, each one fighting for a better future. I should get back to work, I said, standing. We have students waiting. Karen? My mother reached for my hand. Can I come to your conference speech? I looked at Aurora, who gave me a subtle nod. Yes, I said, but not to compare me to anyone else. Come to actually see me. After they left, Aurora brought me a coffee. You okay? Yeah. I watched through the window as my mother and Russell walked to their cars. You know what's weird? I always thought getting revenge on Lindsey would feel good, but watching her fall apart while we succeed, it just feels empty. That's because you're better than revenge, Aurora said. You built something real, something that helps people. My phone lit up with a text from Lindsey. We need to talk. Please. I showed it to Aurora. What should I do? What would you tell our students to do? I thought about our core message, about rising above, about using setbacks as stepping stones. I'll meet with her, I decided, not to gloat or reject her, but to show her there's a better way to succeed. Aurora smiled. Now that's a conference speech I want to hear. The conference hall buzzed with energy as I peeked through the curtains at the growing crowd. Over 1,000 people filled the auditorium, and somewhere among them sat my family, including Lindsey, who'd insisted on coming despite my reservations. 5 minutes, Aurora said, adjusting my microphone. You've got this. What if I freeze? Then look at our graduates in the front row. Remember why we're here. I spotted them easily. Maria, Sarah, Jennifer, and dozens more, all wearing our program's signature blue blazers. They'd come from across the country to support this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Karen Fletcher, founder of Code Her Future. The applause felt surreal as I walked onto the stage. Under the bright lights, I could barely make out faces, but I knew where to look. Third row, center. My mother, Haley, and Russell. And there, near the back, Lindsey. 3 years ago, I began, my voice steadier than I felt. I was told that teaching coding to underestimated women was just a little website thing, a hobby, something to do while I figured out my real career path. The audience chuckled. I caught Maria's encouraging nod from the front row. Today, that little website thing has helped over 200 women transition into tech careers, with an average salary increase of 180%. But this isn't a story about numbers. It's about people. I clicked to my first slide, Maria's before and after photos. This is Maria, single mom of 3, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Today, she's a senior developer at a Fortune 500 company. Her kids will go to college debt-free. More slides, more stories. With each one, I felt my confidence growing. Success isn't about pushing others down to lift yourself up. It's about building elevators that can carry everyone higher. From the corner of my eye, I saw Lindsay shift in her seat. We've all faced doubters, people who measured our worth by their limited vision. But here's what I learned: their underestimation is a gift. It gives us the freedom to exceed expectations they never thought to set. The rest of my speech flowed naturally, punctuated by applause and even a few tears from the audience. When I finished, the standing ovation was immediate and overwhelming. Afterward, in the reception area, people lined up to talk. Investors wanted meetings. Other organizations proposed partnerships. But the most meaningful moment came when my mother approached, tears in her eyes. "I was so wrong about you," she said, hugging me tight. "So incredibly wrong." "Mom, you're smudging my makeup." "Let her," Haley said, joining us. "You were amazing up there." "The thing about the elevators," Russell added, "that was brilliant." "Speaking of which," Aurora interrupted, tablet in hand, "we just got 3 major funding offers. They want to help us expand nationally." Before I could respond, I noticed Lindsay hovering nearby, looking uncertain. The room suddenly felt tense. "I should go," she said, turning away. "Lindsay, wait." The words left my mouth before I could stop them. "Stay." She turned back, mascara slightly smeared. "I don't deserve to be here." "Maybe not," I agreed. "But you're here anyway. And you heard what I said about elevators. After everything I did, I'm not saying we're okay, but I am saying there's always room for change, if you're willing to do the work." Aurora cleared her throat. "Actually, we could use someone with marketing experience for our expansion. Legitimate marketing experience." Lindsay's eyes widened. "You'd give me a chance?" "A chance to earn trust," I clarified. "Starting from the bottom, no shortcuts." I'd, I'd like that," she whispered. Just then, Maria approached with several other graduates. "Karen, we have something for you." They presented me with a plaque, inscribed with messages from every woman we'd helped. Reading their words about changed lives, about children's futures secured, about confidence restored, made everything else fade away. "This is what real success looks like," I said, loud enough for Lindsay to hear. "Not competing, but completing each other's journeys." My phone buzzed, a notification that my speech was trending on social media. But for once, I didn't care about the external validation. The real victory was in the room: my mother's proud tears, Haley's supportive smile, Russell's quiet approval, and even Lindsay's humbled presence. Aurora appeared with champagne. "To elevators," she toasted. "To elevators," everyone echoed. As we celebrated, I watched Lindsay talking hesitantly with Maria about our program. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building something so meaningful that those who doubted you have no choice but to look up and recognize their mistake. The conference would end, but this was just the beginning. We had more elevators to build, more lives to change, and this time everyone was invited to rise. 2 weeks after the conference, I sat across from Edison, Lindsay's former boss, in our office conference room. His presence was unexpected, but his words were even more surprising. "We want to partner with Code Her Future," he said, sliding a proposal across the table. Your conference speech made quite an impression. Aurora, beside me, picked up the document. "This is a substantial offer." "It is," Edison agreed. "But first, I need to be transparent about something." The investigation into Lindsay's department revealed that several talented women left our company due to her actions. "You mean because she took credit for their work and pushed them out?" I said bluntly. He nodded grimly. "We're trying to make things right. Your program could help us rebuild our culture." Before I could respond, there was a commotion outside. Through the glass walls, I saw Lindsay burst into our office space, looking frantic. Karen, I need to. She stopped short, seeing Edison, all color drained from her face. Lindsey, Edison said coolly, I didn't expect to see you here. I, I just started, she stammered. Entry-level marketing assistant. Is that so? He turned to me. Interesting choice. Everyone deserves a chance to rebuild, I said firmly, even people who've made mistakes. Aurora touched my arm. Karen, maybe we should continue this meeting later. No, I stood up. Edison, give us a moment with Lindsey. We'll discuss your proposal tomorrow. After he left, Lindsey collapsed into a chair, shaking. He's gonna think I'm trying to sabotage something else. What's really going on? I asked. You're supposed to be at the social media training session. I got called for a final interview at another company, a VP position. She looked at her hands. I was going to take it without telling you. Of course you were, Aurora muttered. But I couldn't, Lindsey continued. I got to the lobby and I couldn't do it. I don't want to be that person anymore. I studied my cousin. The perfectly manicured nails now bitten short, the designer outfit slightly wrinkled. The facade was cracking, revealing something real underneath. Why are you telling us this? I asked. Because I need to confess something else. She pulled out her phone, showing us a series of emails. Last year, I blocked 3 partnership opportunities for your company. I had connections on those boards. I made sure they didn't take you seriously. The silence that followed was deafening. Aurora's hand gripped my shoulder, probably to keep me from reacting badly. Those deals, I said slowly, could have helped us expand months earlier. I know. Tears streaked Lindsey's makeup. I was so threatened by your success. It was eating me alive, watching you build something meaningful while I just played corporate politics. Why tell us now? Because Edison's offer? It's partly because of my mistakes. They're trying to fix what I broke. She wiped her eyes. You should take it. It's a good deal. I'll resign if that makes it easier. Aurora spoke up. Actually, having someone who knows where all the bodies are buried could be useful. I turned to her, surprised. You're defending Lindsey? No, Aurora said. I'm thinking strategically. She knows exactly how corporate sabotage works. Who better to help us prevent it? Just then, my phone buzzed. A message from Maria. New student just signed up. Says she used to work with Lindsey. Thought you should know. I showed the message to Lindsey. Looks like karma's not done with you yet. I deserve that, she nodded. I deserve all of it. No, I said, surprising myself. What you deserve is the chance I never got, to prove you can change. What are you saying? I'm saying stay, keep your entry-level position, learn how to succeed without stepping on others, help us protect other women from what you used to do. Aurora raised an eyebrow. Are you sure about this? No, I admitted. But our whole program is about second chances. We can't just preach it. We have to live it. Lindsey stood up, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. I won't let you down. Not this time. One condition, I said. You're going to personally mentor the woman who just signed up, the one you worked with before. Show her there's a better way. She nodded, then paused at the door. Karen, thank you for being better than I was. After she left, Aurora turned to me. Well, that was unexpected. Everything about this year has been unexpected. I picked up Edison's proposal, including this. What are you thinking? I smiled, remembering my conference speech about elevators. I'm thinking it's time to build a bigger one. Aurora grinned. I'll call Edison. But first, should we talk about the fact that your former nemesis is now basically your employee? Actually, I laughed, I think that's exactly the kind of plot twist our story needed. We spent the rest of the afternoon reviewing Edison's proposal, but my mind kept drifting to Lindsey's confession. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from defeating your enemies, but from helping them become better people. And sometimes, the best revenge is showing them exactly what they could have been all along. She's actually doing it, Aurora said, showing me her tablet. On the screen was a video of Lindsey leading a workshop for our newest cohort of students, including Amanda, the former colleague she'd once pushed out of her department. I still can't believe it sometimes, I admitted, watching Lindsey patiently explain marketing basics to the group. A month ago, she wouldn't have been caught dead teaching entry-level skills. People can surprise you. Aurora paused the video. Speaking of surprises, your mother's here again. I looked up to see my mom hovering in the doorway, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Mom, is everything okay? I found something, she said, pulling out an old notebook. I was cleaning out the attic and she placed it on my desk, opening to a page filled with teenage handwriting. Do you remember this? My breath caught. It was my high school journal filled with coding projects I dreamed up long before they were possible. You kept this? I did, but I never read it. Not until last night. She touched the pages gently. You were planning this all along, weren't you? Teaching others, building something meaningful. Mom, let me finish. I've been watching Lindsey these past few weeks, seeing her start over, humble herself, actually help others. And it made me realize you did that. You changed her by being exactly who you always were, who I should have seen all along. Aurora quietly slipped out, closing the door behind her. I was so focused on the wrong things, my mother continued. Success looked like promotions and office politics in my mind. I never understood that true success could look like this. She gestured around my office. A knock interrupted us. Lindsey, looking uncertain. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Amanda just landed her first client. She wanted you to know. Come in, I said. Mom was just showing me something. Lindsay's eyes fell on the notebook. What's that? Karen's old journal, my mother explained, full of ideas about teaching coding and lifting others up. She knew her path long before any of us understood it. Lindsay picked up the notebook, reading a passage. Project idea: create a network where women help other women succeed in tech. You wrote this in high school? Junior year, I nodded. Right around when you won that leadership award. The one I got by taking credit for the group project, Lindsay admitted quietly. I never told anyone that before. My mother's face fell. Lindsay, it's okay, Aunt Rosalind. I'm not that person anymore. She turned to me. Actually, that's why I came in. Amanda's success. It feels different. Better than any award I ever got through manipulation. Just then, Aurora burst back in. Karen, you need to see this. We're trending again. She held up her phone, showing a viral LinkedIn post from Amanda describing her journey from corporate victim to successful freelancer, crediting both Code Her Future and, surprisingly, Lindsey's mentorship. Special thanks to Lindsey, I read aloud, who showed me that true redemption is possible through honest work and genuine support of others. Lindsey's eyes welled up. I don't deserve that. Maybe not the old you, my mother said. But this new version, I think you do. Speaking of new versions, Aurora interjected, Edison called. The partnership deal is final. We're officially expanding to 5 new cities. My mother beamed. Honey, that's wonderful. And terrifying, I admitted. This is bigger than anything we've done before. But not bigger than anything you imagined, my mother said, tapping the journal. You've been preparing for this your whole life. Lindsay wiped her eyes. I should get back to the workshop. Amanda's going to present her project to potential investors next week. We need to prepare. As she turned to leave, I called after her. Lindsay, thank you for proving change is possible. She smiled. A real smile, not the practiced one she used to wear. Thank you for giving me the chance to prove it. After she left, my mother picked up the journal again. I've been thinking about your father. He always said you had a special kind of determination. I wish he could see you now. He can, I said softly. Through every woman we help, every life we change. Aurora cleared her throat. Sorry to interrupt the moment, but we have that strategy meeting in 5 minutes. 5 cities won't plan themselves. My mother stood hugging me tight. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Not because you proved anyone wrong, but because you proved yourself right. As she left, Aurora started pulling up expansion plans on the screen, but my eyes kept drifting to the old journal, to the dreams of a teenage girl who refused to think small. You okay? Aurora asked. Yeah, I smiled, just realizing something. Success isn't about getting revenge or proving points. It's about becoming exactly who you were meant to be and helping others do the same. Deep thoughts for a Tuesday, she teased. Now, about these new locations. I turned to the plans, ready to build something even bigger. Sometimes the best stories aren't about tearing others down, but about lifting everyone up, even those who once tried to hold you back. The day of Amanda's investor presentation arrived with an unexpected twist. Every member of my family showed up to support her. Even Russell came, saying he wouldn't miss seeing the full circle moment. Nervous? I asked Amanda as she did one final check of her slides in our conference room. Terrified, she admitted, but ready. Lindsey's been an amazing help, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Speaking of Lindsey, she was pacing outside the room, more anxious than Amanda. When I stepped out, she grabbed my arm. What if they don't take her seriously? What if I didn't prepare her well enough? What if— Breathe, I interrupted. This isn't about you anymore, remember? She nodded, releasing my arm. Right. Sorry. Old habits. Old Lindsay would have sabotaged her, Aurora commented, joining us. New Lindsay is having a panic attack because she wants her to succeed. I'd call that progress. The elevator dinged, and 5 investors walked out, led by Edison. My mother immediately approached them with coffee and welcome packets. She'd insisted on helping with the hospitality. Quite the family affair, Edison noted, looking around at all of us. We support our own, my mother said proudly, even if it took some of us too long to learn how. As everyone filed into the conference room, I noticed Amanda's hands shaking while setting up her laptop. Hey, I whispered, remember what we teach in the program? She smiled. Our fear of failure is usually just fear of success in disguise. Exactly. You've got this. Amanda straightened her shoulders and began her presentation. Her voice, shaky at first, grew stronger as she outlined her journey from corporate burnout to tech entrepreneur. When she reached the slide about her new client acquisition software, the investors leaned forward. This addresses a major pain point in the industry, one investor said. How did you identify this need? Actually, Amanda glanced at Lindsey, it came from understanding both sides of corporate culture, the good and the bad. Lindsey shifted in her seat but held Amanda's gaze. And your revenue projections? Another investor asked. Amanda clicked to her financial slides, the ones she and Lindsey had spent countless hours perfecting. As she walked through the numbers, I watched the investors' expressions shift from polite interest to genuine enthusiasm. One last question, Edison said. Why did you choose to develop this through Code Her Future rather than a traditional accelerator? Amanda didn't hesitate. Because here, success isn't about competing. It's about completing each other's journeys. Even people who once stood in your way can become your strongest supporters. The room fell silent. I saw my mother wipe away a tear and Haley squeeze Russell's hand. After the investors left, promising to be in touch soon, Amanda hugged Lindsey. Thank you for everything. I should be thanking you, Lindsey replied, for showing me what real mentorship looks like. Aurora appeared with champagne. Early celebration? Edison texted me. They want to fast track the investment. As glasses were passed around, my mother called for attention. I'd like to say something. She looked around the room, at me, at Lindsey, at Amanda, at all the women who'd become part of our extended family. When I was young, success meant climbing over others to reach the top. I taught that to my children, to my niece. I was wrong. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do. She raised her glass. To my daughter, Karen, who showed us that true success is building elevators. To Lindsay, who had the courage to step off her ladder and help others climb. And to Amanda, who proved that the best revenge is massive success shared with others. To elevators, everyone echoed. Later, as we were cleaning up, Lindsay pulled me aside. I have something to show you. She opened her laptop to reveal a proposal. It's a mentorship program for women transitioning from toxic corporate environments. Amanda helped me design it. You want to expand our services? Only if you think it's a good idea. I know I haven't earned back full trust yet. I studied the proposal, then looked at Lindsay, really looked at her. The sharp edges were gone, replaced by something genuine and warm. You know what the hardest part of running this company is? I asked. What? Remembering that everyone deserves the chance to rewrite their story, even the people who tried to erase yours. Aurora joined us, reading over my shoulder. This is actually brilliant. Turning former corporate climbers into mentors? That's exactly what we need for the expansion. So that's a yes? Lindsay asked hopefully. That's a yes, I confirmed. On one condition, you have to present it at our next conference. Me? But after everything I did, that's exactly why it needs to be you. Show them that change is possible. As Lindsay hugged me, a real hug, not the artificial ones she used to give, I caught my mother's eye across the room. She nodded, understanding passing between us. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from proving others wrong, but from helping them find a better way to be right. The autumn breeze carried the sound of chatter and laughter through the open windows of my childhood home. In the backyard, dozens of women who'd graduated from our program mingled with my family, celebrating our latest milestone, the opening of our 10th city location. Still can't believe Mom suggested hosting it here, Haley said, helping me carry out another tray of appetizers. I still can't believe how many people came, I replied, watching Aurora give impromptu career advice to a cluster of new students. My mother emerged from the kitchen, beaming as she surveyed the gathering. Karen, Amanda's team just closed their Series A funding. Did you hear? I did. Lindsay texted me the news this morning. Speaking of Lindsay, she was deep in conversation with Maria near the garden, probably discussing the mentorship program they now co-led. The sight still amazed me sometimes. My former nemesis had become one of our strongest advocates for ethical leadership. Remember your last birthday party here? Russell asked, appearing beside me with a drink. What a difference a year makes. Before I could respond, Aurora clinked her glass for attention. Everyone, if I could have a moment, there's something we need to share. I froze. This wasn't planned. As you know, Aurora continued, Code Her Future started as Karen's response to being underestimated. But today, we received news that proves success is the best revenge. She nodded to Amanda, who stood up. Our corporate culture reform program, designed with Lindsay, has just been adopted by 5 major tech companies. They're making it mandatory for all management training. Applause erupted. I saw Lindsay duck her head, still unused to positive attention. But that's not all, Aurora said. Karen, your mother has an announcement. My mother stepped forward, clutching an envelope. I've decided to retire early and sell my business. The proceeds will fund a scholarship program for women over 40 looking to change careers. Mom? I whispered, stunned. I spent too many years measuring success by the wrong metrics, she said. It's time to invest in the right ones. Tears pricked my eyes as she handed me the envelope. Inside was the documentation for the Scholarship Foundation, named after my father. He always said you'd change the world, she smiled. He just didn't know you'd help so many others change it too. The party shifted into an impromptu planning session, with graduates offering to mentor scholarship recipients and Lindsey already sketching out program modifications for older students. Excuse me? A quiet voice interrupted. I turned to find Jessica, one of our newest students. I just wanted to say, I used to work for Lindsey back when I was terrible, Lindsey finished, joining us. It's okay, you can say it. Jessica smiled. Yes, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because watching you change made me believe I could too. The student becomes the teacher, Aurora murmured, squeezing my arm. As the evening wound down, I found myself in the kitchen with my mother, Lindsey, and Aurora, washing dishes like we'd done it together all our lives. I never thought I'd say this, Lindsey admitted, drying a wine glass, but losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because you found something better? Aurora asked. Because I found something real. She set down the glass. Karen, I've been meaning to ask, why did you really give me that second chance? I thought about that day in the office, when she'd confessed to sabotaging our early partnerships, because success means nothing if we don't lift others up along the way, even the ones who tried to hold us down. Speaking of lifting others, my mother interjected, Amanda mentioned you're speaking at next month's Women in Tech Summit. Both of you. Together, I nodded. We're presenting on transformative leadership and authentic success. From enemies to co-presenters, Aurora mused. Now that's a story worth telling. Through the window, I could see the last few guests sharing contact information, making plans to support each other. The sight filled me with a different kind of pride than I'd ever expected to feel. You know what's funny? I said. A year ago, I thought revenge would feel like watching Lindsey fail. Instead, it feels like watching her help others succeed. That's because you were always better than revenge, my mother said. You built elevators instead of ladders. And now we're building them together, Lindsey added softly. Aurora raised her dish towel like a glass. Two elevators, authentic success, and the sweetest revenge of all, becoming exactly who you were meant to be. And helping others do the same, I finished. As we finished cleaning up, I caught my reflection in the window. Not just mine, but all of ours, working together in comfortable synchronicity. The image of success I'd always chased looked nothing like this, but somehow this felt infinitely better. Sometimes the best endings aren't about winning or losing, but about transforming the game entirely. And sometimes the most powerful revenge is showing others there's a better way to play,